Good morning and welcome to the Mid-Maine Chamber of Commerce and Thomas College Business Breakfast Series. My name is Kim Lindloff. I'm the President and CEO of the Mid-Maine Chamber, and it's my pleasure to welcome you here this morning. I want to take a moment to thank our 2018 Business Breakfast Series sponsors. They include AT&T, Cross Insurance, People's United Bank, Nicholson, Michaud & Company CPAs, O'Donnell, Lee, McCowan, and Phillips, attorneys at law. Our print sponsor is the Morning Sentinel, and our radio sponsor this year is 107.9 The Mix. We hope you had a chance to visit our business spotlighters out back, GHM Insurance, and Peak Careers. I'd ask you at this time, if you could, to turn off your pagers or cell phones in consideration of our guests, our TV audience, and our speaker. We also ask that you take time after the presentation to fill out the evaluation forms that are placed in front of you on your tables. Our Business Breakfast Series committee takes the feedback in order to formulate our breakfast programs for the following year. That being said, we will use that moving forward because we just completed our 2019 Business Breakfast Series schedule, and it can be found on the table, the registration table, as you exit. We have a few upcoming chamber events. On the 13th, we will be doing the young professional group KV Connect, its Green Drinks event, which is being done simultaneously with the Central Maine Growth Council's annual meeting from 5 to 7 p.m. at Waterville Brewing Company and Bricks in the Hathaway Creative Center. The charitable donations from this event will be going to the Alphon Youth Center. It's free and open to the public, and all the businesses on the main floor of Hathaway are going to be open that night for an open house. So we will have the Robin's Nest, the Brewing Company, Bricks, Hathaway Mill Antiques, and Common Street Arts is going to open its holiday bazaar for us that night. On the 15th, we're launching a new book called Water Village by Earl Smith. It's a story of Waterville, Maine. That'll be at the Opera House from 5:30 to 7 p.m. Again, it's free and open to the public. We will have appetizers that reflect the history of Waterville, so a lot of Lebanese, Franco, and Jewish appetizers. And that will be from 5:30 to 7 again at the Opera House. The night before that, on Wednesday, we're doing a business after hours at the Waterville Elks Lodge, free and open to the public, 5:30 to 7. Also on November 15th is Tech Night. That's from 5 to 6:30 at Bricks Co-working and Innovation Space, hosted by the Central Maine Growth Council. And it's featuring Thomas College's Jim Delory. He's going to be telling us all about its new esports program, so really cool. We have a lot of stuff going on in November, and we welcome you to all of it. Thank you for your support. Our next business breakfast is here on December 6th, and it's featuring Maine Media Today's CEO, Lisa DeSisto. She's going to be discussing ways to engage customers and businesses using traditional and new platforms. So sign up early, because that's going to be a good one. So it's my pleasure at this time to introduce our presenter, Jean Conway, who's going to introduce our speaker this morning. Jean's from KFS. Jean?
Good morning, everyone. David Pease is a Senior Vice President, Director of Human Resources at Bangor Savings Bank. His HR career spans 30 years in business, nonprofit, healthcare, academia, and corporate America, and he had the dubious pleasure of going to high school with me. David views human resources as a transformational driver in an organization's strategy, culture, and performance. He has a master's degree in human resources management from Lesley University. David also has the Senior Professional in Human Resources and the Senior Certified Professional National designations. David is the former State Director of Maine SHRM and received the Distinguished Maine HR Leader of the Year Award. He is a frequent speaker at state and national conferences. David serves as a mentor and coach to numerous professionals in all stages of their careers. Please join me in welcoming David Pease.
Good morning. How are you guys doing? Again, I think we need a bigger good morning. Good morning. Someone asked if we were going to be doing dancing this morning. I wasn't really planning to, but if anyone really feels the need to do dancing, do you want to dance with me? Again, I'm really glad to be here. It's been a while since I've been back, but it's really nice to see all my friends from Thomas College and my peeps from Bangor Savings Bank. So thanks for all being here. So today we're going to talk a little bit about employee engagement and employee retention. Pretty important in our current work environment, right? We know there's a labor shortage in the state of Maine, and obviously one of our best recruiting tools is to retain the current people we have. So let's go forward and move forward in that journey. As we move forward, I just kind of want to remind you that, again, I was the Director of Human Resources for Bangor Savings. I actually have just taken on a new role as the Director of Talent, Diversity, and Inclusion for the bank, but I really view my role as a CEO. Not a chief executive officer, we have an amazing one, but the chief engagement officer. And part of what I'm going to engage, or what I'm going to challenge each of you to do today, is to think about being the chief engagement officers for your organizations or for your departments or the teams that you work with, because keeping all of us engaged brings out the best in us. So again, this will be a participatory kind of presentation. So I want you to kind of maybe close your eyes, get into a really great place. And I want to challenge you to remember a time where you were fully engaged in your work. So can you think about that time you were really fully engaged in your work? And again, maybe shout out. We're going to do a shout out this morning. We want to make sure you're all awake. What were the things, what were the traits and characteristics that were taking place in that organization when you were fully engaged? Anyone? What were you feeling when you were fully engaged? What was happening in those organizations? You're part of a team, so being part of a team really gets you engaged. What else happens when you're fully engaged? What else is occurring in that environment? Anyone? You can shout it out. All right, I think it's about team. It's about maybe working for a really great place. It's working for a really great leader. Those are all some of the reasons that we're really engaged. And when you work for yourself and you're running your own business and you're doing something that you're passionate about, right? Those are also things that keep us engaged. I won't ask anyone to sort of shout this out loud, but I would challenge you, are you feeling fully engaged in your current job? If you are, that's a really good thing. If you're not, I think you need to ask yourself why not. And if you're in a leadership role in your organization, what's going to happen to the people that work with you and for you, right? We bring out the best in others, and so when we're fully engaged, we can bring out the best in others. When we are not fully engaged as a leader, then it's going to be pretty hard to bring out the best in everyone around us. So I want to tell you a story of engagement. It's about this little boy who was watching these three bricklayers sort of building a wall, and they were putting the mortar on and they were building bricks, and he was so interested in this. And he went up to the first bricklayer and he said, "What are you doing?" And the guy gruffly kind of looked at him and said, "What do you think I'm doing? I'm laying bricks." He then went up to the second person and said, "Sir, what are you doing?" And he's like, the gentleman said, "I'm making a living for my family." And he went up to the third bricklayer and he said, "What are you doing?" And the man responded, "I'm building a church so families can come and gather. I'm building a work of art that will inspire people for the rest of their lives." So are you creating masterpieces in your organization? Obviously, the third bricklayer saw that his work was more than just putting up bricks, but that he was building something and he was part of something big and something that would even be there after he was gone. So again, part of being engaged is seeing that you belong to a bigger purpose and that we're helping our states, helping our organizations, and helping possibly the world be a better place. So again, engagement is not simply doing a task, it's about seeing how that work can contribute to something on a much higher level. I put this quote up almost in every presentation I do. 100% of your customers are people. 100% of your employees are people. So if you're not a human resource expert, you need to be, because we're working with people. Everything we do in our work is about people. And people are not machines. We can't simply fix them. They're not, we've got feelings, we have emotions, and we need to know how to inspire people. We need to know how to bring out the best in people, and it isn't simply turning a notch to say, you know, work harder today, right? We need to be engaged, and we need to be inspired to bring out the best, and we need support. So again, remember, whenever you're feeling like, ugh, this is really tough work, yes, it is, because we're working with people, and everyone you're dealing with is people. Again, I know that as those of you who are doing management and leadership, there's a lot of things we have to do every day. It's a pretty challenging job. It can be quite exhausting. And so I try to help the leaders I work with to say, I think there's 3 major things you need to focus on to be successful as a leader. You need to be a really great talent scout. So you need to always be looking for great people to work with you. Once you bring them on board, you need to be able to develop them. So I think you need to be a great performance coach. And then thirdly, once you've hired people and you've actually developed them to do a job, then you have to keep them engaged and motivated. And that's when we have to really become engagement gurus. And that's really what we're going to talk about today. How do we, as people, bring out the best in folks and really keep them engaged? And the more engaged people are, the more they're going to stay with your organizations. So first of all, think of yourself as we move forward as the Chief Engagement Officer for your organization. And even if you're a one-person organization, the customers that come into your organization, those people want to be inspired as well. They want to have a great experience when they come and work with you. But again, treat people like they make a difference, and they actually will, right? If we just take people for granted, it's amazing how they're going to take you as an employer for granted. So we really have got to appreciate the people that work around with us and understand that they can work anywhere else, and we choose to work where we work. I tell young people all the time, you can always go make more money somewhere else if you want to. But the reason people stay is because they like what you're doing. So again, let's just make sure we understand engagement. Engagement is not about happiness, right? I could have you come to work and I could pay you and ask you to do nothing. You might be a happy person, right? If you didn't have to do anything, you could just watch TV or lay around all day, but that's not engagement. Engagement is when people are willing to do extra work without even being asked. Bangor Savings Bank is the best place to work and has been for a number of years, and there's about 80 questions that we ask our employees. And the one that I'm most proud of is when 99% of our employees say they're willing to give extra effort to help us reach our goals and our vision. You know, what a powerful thing when all of your people are willing to do more, willing to work extra hours to ensure that our vision of You Matter More is actually implemented. That to me is pretty powerful, and that's actually one of the questions I always go to when we get a report back. So again, what are some of the benefits of engagement? We definitely know that it will lead to greater productivity. We see that when people are highly engaged, there's about a 40% payoff in terms of performance for your company. There's a direct correlation between employee engagement and customer satisfaction. So a lot of companies don't even do customer satisfaction. They know if their employee surveys are really high. They know by fact that the customers will also be engaged, but again, your satisfaction will be increased by about 18%. You will have much greater financial success. And again, one of the major reasons some of you are here today, you can reduce your turnover by 14% when you have a high level of employee engagement. So it really has a huge benefit for your organization when you can keep people engaged. So I want to show a video. I apologize for the audience who is joining us by cable, but I did want to make sure that those of you who are here today watch this video. It's called Who's Sinking Your Boat, and it's on YouTube, so for those people who want to see it afterwards. But I think it's just a really good video that can help us kind of get into the mode of employee engagement. Great. So what we saw here is that you have 30% of your employees who are fully engaged. They're really trying to help you reach the results of your organization, and you have probably 20% of employees who are actually working against you. So you really need to make sure that you understand who those 30% are and really reward and recognize them. And hopefully you can get that other 50% who are just watching the scenery to actually, by finding out what motivates them, you can figure out how to get them fully engaged. Another thing to understand is that 30% of your workforce are currently looking for other jobs. So at any given time, not only do we have this labor shortage, but we have a third of our workforce who are actively engaged in trying to find other jobs. So we've really got a lot of things working on us, but as the video showed, if we just continue to have a real vision that people want to be a part of, if we show that we really care about the people and are willing to support and develop them, we actually have a much better chance of getting people to stay. So this is just some questions that is used by Gallup. It's called the Gallup 12, and it's 12 questions to kind of look at the engagement level of your employees. And I won't go through all of it, but clearly the first question is, do you know what's expected for you at work? So that's a really good question. If you are a supervisor or manager, ask your employees, what are your expectations and how are you measured, and how will you be successful in your job? And if they can't answer that question, then you need to do a better job at setting expectations and being clear about what their goals are. I think another one is question 4. And you can ask this of yourself. In the past 7 days, did you receive recognition from someone at your organization for doing a great job? So in the past week, have you received recognition at work? And if you're a manager, have you given recognition and praise to every single person that you've worked with in the past week? That's really important. It is a huge motivator, and guess what? It costs no money. So for those organizations that don't have a lot of money, this is something you can do for free. But you have to make it, you have to be disciplined about it, and you have to make sure that it's genuine, right? You can't just sort of go around and say, thank you, and not really care. But if you really care, give people specific feedback, really from your heart, let them know how much you appreciate their efforts, and really take time. As a leader and manager, we should be spending time every week in terms of really recognizing and letting our people know. Another one is number 11. In the past 6 months, has a manager talked to you about your progress? One of the big things that people want, of course, is to continue to grow and evolve. And if you're not spending some time in terms of having conversations about development, educational opportunities, how people can perform at a higher level, what they need to do to get to another role in the organization, then you're missing out on a huge opportunity. A lot of organizations aren't doing this well. So if you want to find a real competitive advantage for your organizations, career development is one of the things you can do. Career development, again, doesn't cost any money. And if you don't have the skills or the knowledge to do career development, we have some amazing resources with our career centers from the state of Maine that can actually help you with some of this, so you can get these resources for free, but just bring them into your work site to help people understand how do they work on their development, how do they work on their careers to get to a higher level. So I'm going to give you a little quiz. I know that's exactly what you all wanted, but again, I am a former professor here at Thomas, so I always have to give you kind of a quiz. So I want you to look at these 10 factors of work: appreciation, involvement in decisions, help with personal issues, job security, salary, interesting work, promotion and growth, loyalty from your boss, working conditions, and tactful discipline. And from your perspective, if you were to put these in order, which factors are most important to employees? So if you were going to look at these factors, what would you say are the top 3 for employees? So you can just think about it: appreciation, decision-making, personal issues, job security, salary, work, promotion, loyalty from boss, working conditions, and discipline. Tactful discipline. Nobody wants to be disciplined. All right. So here's the answer. And what's really interesting about this is this survey has been being done pretty much for every decade since the 1940s. So this has been going on for about 80 years. And the answers are the same. Every decade, the answers remain the same, and yet organizations still get it wrong. What's also really interesting about this is managers don't always know what their employees want. So from a manager's perspective, they think that pay and benefits are actually number one and job security is number two. And when we ask employees what's most important, pay actually comes in at number 5, and job security comes as number 6. It's also very interesting that employees are saying that appreciation and involvement in decisions are number 2 and 3, and yet managers feel that appreciation is number 8 and involvement in decisions is number 10. So first of all, as managers, you have to understand what do people really want. And I can tell you, I've been doing human resources for over 30 years, and these are not necessarily the order for every single employee, but they are definitely at the top. When I talk to young people, I've been doing a lot of college fairs over the last few weeks. When I talk to people like myself at end of career, this interesting work is number 1 by far and away. People want to come to work and they want to make a difference. They want to come to work and they want to have an impact on clients, on their communities, or the world as a whole. So this is really important. And again, interesting work doesn't cost any money. It's just about creating jobs that are actually interesting and give each person a chance to do great work. Again, we've already talked about praise and appreciation, no cost. Number 2, you get a lot of benefit when you have really great recognition programs and great appreciation. And then involvement in decisions. How hard is it to simply bring your team together and saying, hey, we want to improve our customer experience for our customers. What are your suggestions in terms of what can we do to improve our customer service? That's a pretty easy thing to do, right? And getting them involved in decisions. And if one person has a great idea saying, fantastic, you know, Kelly, I'm so glad you brought up that idea. Would you like to lead that project and kind of move this forward? Because I think that could really improve our employee experience, or our customer experience. So these are ways that cost no money that you can build engagement within your group. And we'll talk a little bit more about this. So the other thing that you want to remember is that employees want to be part of something big. I think a lot of times we know that life is really hard, right? People have a lot going on in their work, but people want to be part of something big. They want to be part of a winning team, right? Laura LaChance doesn't come to Thomas College every day just to do a job. She wants to make Thomas College great. And everyone that works here wants to make this campus a really successful organization, right? And when you get everyone buying into that, they get up every day wanting to come to work. They're not sort of saying, what's my job today? They're like, how can we really make Thomas College different from every other campus here in Maine? People need a sense of belonging. The importance of belonging is really, really important. In my new role, a big part of what I'm doing is about making sure that people can be their authentic self. So again, yesterday I was at a youth leadership group, over 300 teenagers from all across Maine who do youth advocacy work in their high schools. And the minute I walked in to see these young people, I saw more diversity in that room than I've seen in a long, long time. Not diversity necessarily of race or color, but the way they expressed themselves, the way they were dressed, their different ways of responding to enthusiasm, and it was just so freeing because they were truly being themselves. But at work sometimes I see people being really stiff, and I see people kind of playing a role that they feel that they need to play. And how successful do you think people can be if they're not being their full self? So I have a real belief that we have to let people be their true selves at work. Yesterday I went in with because again, I needed to try to connect with these 15 and 16-year-olds. It's pretty hard at my age to do that. So I kind of went in with my blue velvet shirt or my jacket, I had on this blue feather bow tie, and I had on blue rhinestone shoes, and they loved the shoes. I didn't even need to say anything. They're like, we love the shoes, we love the shoes. I'm like, yeah, I don't have to say anything. But I also had to go in and show off to my CEO and say, hey, dude, how do you like my outfit? And he actually wants some blue rhinestone shoes. So it's really amazing when we are free and can be authentic, how much more we can be ourselves and how much more successful we can be. People want to go on a journey. They don't want to simply come to work and leave. They really want to go on a journey. They want to see a success. They want to have some challenges. They want to see expansion of your services. They want to see acquisitions of others. They want to see new products developed within your organizations. And again, people want to have significance. They want to know that it matters. So again, remember, in terms of engaging people, they want to say, what do I get? What do I give? How do I belong? And how can I grow? So if you really think of this and you look at this as, Maslow's hierarchy, how do I get? How do I give? Do I belong? And can we grow? So what I've done to try to make sure that managers are really focused on the things that matter to employees and motivate them and engage them, I created this model probably 15 years ago. And I know some of my former students here from Thomas College have seen this model because it's been around for at least 15 years. So I just share it with you. It's just a simple way of remembering the things that matter to people. So again, remember the M as meaningful and challenging work. So again, it starts from the job design. How is this job important to your organization? What impact does it have to your company's values and your mission? How does it kind of, again, produce impact for others? Number, or A, would be appreciation and advancement. Again, I can't even emphasize the importance of praise and appreciation. When people feel recognized, when people feel like you care and you want them to be there, you get such a return. You get such a return from people, and they really will stay with you for a long time. Of course, advancement is good if you want to keep them for a very long time. You also need to have goals. People are, I think sometimes we forget, people want to be successful, and if we know what's expected of us, we're going to go to work and try to do that, right? A lot of us are going to try to, exceed those goals. So I try from the very first day when somebody starts in my organization or starts working for me, I set goals for them. I just hired somebody 4 weeks ago. I set goals right away saying, here's the goals that I'm going to look for in the first 3 months. Here's what I want to see in the first 6 months. And these will be the goals that I'll hold you accountable for in the first year. So don't dummy down goals for people. People are smart, they're driven, they want to do good work. Set goals for them, set high goals for them, give them the tools and the resources and support to reach those goals. Get them involved in decisions. People want to be involved in decisions, and we as leaders can't know everything that's going on, right? The people who are actually doing the work are the people who can best solve the problems, who can best make things better. But if we're not asking their opinions and we're not giving them a chance to solve the problems, we're going to miss out on huge opportunities to get things better. Again, pay is important and compensation is important, but it needs to be equitable. You just need to make sure that it's competitive in the marketplace and that you're really being fair about it and the way that you apply it at your organization. It's not about having the most money. It's about making sure that you're paying people equal to what the marketplace is doing, and that you're being fair on the way that you administer it. But again, if there's things that you can do to add value, little extra things that you can do that you believe are important to your employees, then add it. And some of that compensation doesn't actually have to be money. And then finally, people need to be they need to be connected. Team connectedness is the T in Magnet. It's important that people have friends at work. Friendship is actually really important, to feel that you really belong in the organization. So the whole feeling of inclusion, when you feel like you belong there, when you know that you're aligned with the goals and that you care about the people you work with every day, that really is engagement. So again, Magnet is meaningful work, appreciation, goal alliance, need to be involved, equitable pay, and team connectivity. One of the other things I want to talk a little bit about to you today in terms of what are some of the trends that are impacting the workforce, company culture. So do you all talk about your culture? It's a pretty important thing. It's really what holds bank or savings bank together. I think in every day we talk about culture in some ways. And when I ask employee what they like most about working at Bangor Savings Bank, it's usually about, it's our culture. And our culture is just really about people. Our You Matter More is really about, we really believe in taking care of each other as team members. We're all about finding solutions for our customers, and we really encourage everyone to get involved in their community through involvement. So that You Matter More is what we talk about every single day. It's what we live every day, and it's what our employees say is the reason they stay. So your culture is really important. So what is your culture? When you ask your leadership, what is your culture? And when you ask your employee, what is your culture, are they saying the same things? And if they're not, you need to work on that. It's one of the best things in terms of a magnet is our culture draws candidates. So I have lots of people that want to work in our culture because they know how strong it is. They believe in working with people and helping people. It is also a magnet for really ensuring that people stay. What we need to remember about a magnet, it not only does it attract, if you turn it around, it actually pushes things out. So we need to really make sure that we have a culture that pulls people and keeps people with us, and we're not doing things to push people out of our organization. So that's why I really like using magnet as a thought. The manager's role. There's some statistics that say that 50% of turnover is due to management. I will give managers a little more credit than that, but we do have to understand the role of a manager. And a manager is a really important magnet. Really good leaders, people want to work for. When I have job openings, I have lots of people that want to work with me because I'm a good coach. People know that I will help them get better. And the same can be true for people who are not good leaders. Some people don't want to work for those people. So again, let's just talk about what that might look like. So I think we can tell on the first day whether we've selected the right company or the right boss. So let me give you two scenarios. So scenario number one, you come to work, you're all excited to start your new job, and you're met by your boss. Your boss is like, okay, you got to fill out these forms for HR. There's these 2 manuals the boss wants you to read. You know, I'm gonna, but kind of get out of here, right? Because I need you on the floor to get started to work. You know, and, you know, I'll see you like on payday, because that's like the only fun day here at work, you know, is payday. If they even pay us, you know, I don't know how the finances are here. Okay, so that's your first scenario. So again, if you enter that scenario, leave, run. This is not a company or a boss you want to work for, right? This is not a welcoming environment. We need to roll out the red carpet. Instead, our managers should be, Lori, I'm so glad you come to work for us. This has been a really competitive process. I actually had 100 candidates for this position. We went through a really thorough process, but I selected you because I believe you can have an incredible impact here in the bank. I think you and I are going to be a great team. We are going to reach a lot. We're going to have a lot of success, and your job and our work is so important to our organization. We are really trying to engage our employees. We are trying to bring on new talent into our organizations, and we are trying to get each of our employees to reach their highest level of their careers. This is going to be a lot of work, but I'm here to support you. I'm here to make you the best you can be. If you don't have the tools, let me know. I've tried to create a vision that I believe will inspire you, but if there's something missing, I need your input. Your input is really important. I hired you because I think you have a perspective different from mine, and I want to use that to create our vision for this bank. I'm so glad you're here. I think we're going to have a fun journey. Again, you can feel the difference, right? You start from the very first day, the way you welcome people. They need to feel like they were selected and you really want them there. They need to know they're a really important part of the vision of your organization, and they need to know you're there for them. You have their back, you're gonna listen to their point of view, right? That's so important. So again, the management of your organizations are so critical for the engagement and retention of your folks. So again, are you creating masterpieces with your employee efforts and your engagement efforts? Some of the things you want to take a look at is you may be doing things that you feel are really, really good, but they may not be. For instance, a lot of companies spend a lot of money on wellness, and I see some of our great partners at Maine General who do great employee wellness, but we spend a lot of wellness, and yet in a lot of organizations, all this money we spend on wellness, only 24% of the people participate. Is that the best use of your dollars? So I think what you need to do is if you're going to have wellness, you've got to create it so people are participating, that there's actually a benefit and people want it. Another thing is employee recognition. A lot of people have recognition programs, but people aren't feeling appreciated. People are feeling actually excluded. It feels like a favorite kind of program. It's kind of like who's most popular this month. So you really need to take a hard look at some of your programs. Employee recognition is a huge cost. It's billions and billions of dollars cost when you lose employees. You put such burden on the employees who remain, right? The real cost of turnover is not the cost of hiring or training a new employee. The cost of turnover is the burden you place on the people who still remain, because you're giving them extra work to do. And then when you've hired a new person, you're giving them the training responsibility of training these new people. So the burden and the real cost of turnover is the employees who actually stay. So after a few people leave, how many of these turnovers will people be able to survive, right? So that is really where the true cost of turnover is, are the people who are trying their best to stay with you, but you keep giving them more to do. And it's causing quite a burden for them. So really look at your programs. I know we all mean well and we all do good things, but all of our programs need to be evaluated on a regular basis to ensure that they really are what employees want now, because people's needs do change pretty frequently, and so we have to keep looking at it. So again, you got to start with the right people. You got to onboard them like crazy. If people don't fit your culture, you have to be honest. They're just people sometimes that don't fit your culture. So you got to be honest and say you don't fit our culture, but be kind about it. Encourage them to go look for something that does fit and match them. But again, that doesn't help any of you when you just keep trying to make something that doesn't fit together work. You definitely want to keep your programs and your pay practices current. Recognition, getting people involved are so important. And flexibility is very important as well. But I would say have fun. You need to celebrate more. Remember when you've had great success, when you've had a good quarter, you've had a good month of sales. Do some kind of recognition or celebration. It doesn't need to be big, but you just need to stop work for one moment and say, hey, you guys are amazing. This is great. We had our best month ever. You guys rock. You know, here's a $5 coffee card. You know, we love having you here. You're great. So we're going to kind of skip that. So again, meaningful work, great management, positive work environment, growth opportunities, and trust in management. It's pretty simple. Again, remember the magnet model, meaningful and challenging work, appreciation, goal alignment, need to be involved in decisions, equitable pay, and team connectivity. So remember that we really want to ignite engagement. We want to challenge people's minds, so that would be interesting work, giving them the autonomy to do their jobs, and just continued knowledge. We want to keep people knowledgeable and really be experts in their field. And that's where we're really challenging their thoughts. But we also need to capture their hearts, because people need to also be inspired and capture their hearts. So their job has to have purpose. We need to appreciate them, and they need to connect to others. So when we can challenge both our employees' hearts and their brains, we've got a pretty fabulous combination, right? And that's what we need to do. So just continue to look at, are you engaging your employees in both their hearts and their minds? So that is what I have for you today, and I'm hoping I've gotten you a little, got you thinking, or maybe even challenging some of your thinking, and I would love to get some questions to help you with your individual cultures, organizations, or companies. So do we have any questions? Really? Thank you.
David, thank you for being here today, as always, very inspiring. Thomas bases our very mission is to help develop our students to prepare for their careers and their personal lives. So what could we do differently as a college as we prepare them for careers so that they know what to look for in the workforce? I mean, we focus a lot on developing their skills that they need, but what about their frame of mind for what they should be looking for so that when they step into that job, they understand what's really going to motivate them for the long term? Is there something we should blow up in career services and do totally differently?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is, I think we're so busy, right, you're trying to get them have their degrees, you're trying to make sure they're doing internships, you're trying to even making sure that they have all the skills that we're asking you in companies to have. But it is kind of an ongoing journey, right? Career is a journey. I think our biggest thing is to make sure that we understand that everyone has a different path. I think one of the worst things we can do as managers is to sort of say, this is how I did it, so this is how you have to do it. I think we have to understand that everyone is different. It takes, what we need to focus on is, what is your passion? What is the impact you want to make? I spend a lot of time on asking people to look at their own kind of personal brand, like, who are you? What do you really want to accomplish at the end of your career? What is it that you want people to talk about you and say about you? And I think if we start that really young, I mean, I start having those conversations in junior high, but I think that we need to continue to remind people, yes, when they're getting out of school, when you're graduating seniors, Lori, obviously they're just looking for their first job, but we have to kind of keep remembering them that it's only their first job. They're going to have lots of jobs before they retire. And they have all these other things they want to accomplish and do besides just work, right? So we need to remember and remind them the importance of family. And we all have different priorities around work and family. And there's other people who want to do great work in their community. So we want to remind people to make sure they're saving time for that. And as you and I know, Lori, because we both work an awful lot, is that whole balance. And so I do think we need to continue to remind, especially young people, but they're better at it actually than we are, about making sure that, love your work, love your family, and love your community and your world. And if you're really just loving it and enjoying what you're doing, and kind of, we just have to change when something isn't feeling right? If the work isn't feeling good anymore, maybe you need to find a new job. If you're not spending enough time in the community, you got to figure out how to find more time to do that. So I think career development is something we need. I think like at the end of career, I have like 8 years left of my career. I'm doing more career development now and thinking about what I'm doing post-career than I did in probably my first few years of work. So every stage of career is important. I think there's another question.
Hi, David.
Hi.
Do you have any suggestions for winning the heart of people who are doing very repetitious jobs day after day?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, right? I mean, some of our jobs just are kind of routine. So, but routine does not mean that people don't have great brains. So I think we need to try to recognize that a part of work is we're only showing a part of who we are as a human being, right? We're only showing a small part of who we are at work. So I would say one of the ways to make routine work more interesting and to get those people fully engaged is to help show and showcase other parts of who they are. So some of those people doing routine work may be amazing cooks. They may do these amazing crafts. They may do artwork. So how can you at work show another side of them? So maybe in their work they don't get to a chance to like lead projects, but can they show another side of themselves that they can share with their colleagues, that they can get accolades and recognition for who they are even outside of work? Because it's really amazing, right? The amazing talents that employees have. And I think when you're allowing them to show off their cooking skills or their craft skill or their creativity side, people flourish. And I think it's a really great way to get people involved. Another thing, though, to remember is you obviously have that job because it's important to your company and your organization, right? So you do have to continue to remind and show them how their work fits in with the vision of your organization. Why is their work so important to the organization? So I would say showcase some other aspects of them and keep them really connected and remind them about how important their work is to your clients, your customers, or to the organization's success. Yes, sir.
As part of that, as part of that, it sounds like it would be particularly helpful for management to take the time to speak with individual employees about those things they do outside of work. Now, find out something more about your employees so it's not one-dimensional, and have a conversation. Does that seem to make sense?
It totally makes sense. So again, I mean, I spend time with all of my employees every week. So we talk about work, we talk about their goals and their achievement of goals. I talk about what they do for fun. I find out what they do for recreation. I figure out what motivates them. And these are all kinds of conversations we want to have with our employees, right? Because how do you know even what to motivate and engage them on if you don't know what they personally value, right? Because we're all different. And if we're not talking to people about their families and about what they do to relax and what they're really good at, we're only seeing a small part of people. And that, again, can diminish the way people feel. We want to bring out the best of everybody, right? We want to show all of their skills. And the more we can sort of use their skills within a work environment, the better they'll feel and the more they'll feel like they belong and that they're making a contribution. Yes?
Thank you for your tips and your information. It makes me think about our organization at KV-CAP, and we bring in practicum students, interns in our child development program throughout the Central Maine area. And it makes me think about the depth that we need our direct line educators to be not just mentoring the interns and the practicums in the content, but also demonstrating for them why we're a great place to work and why they're in the right field.
Absolutely, because as you know, I mean, folks in education, sometimes people in healthcare, they get like mid-career and they're like, did I make the right choice, right? So I think it even helps your staff to continue to sort of make their commitment to education, right? By just showing why it's so important to them. Why did they get into the field? Are they still in the field for the same reasons they started? Has it evolved over time? What gets them up every morning? What gets them excited? And each employee needs to be a talent scout, but clearly those people who are coaching and managers have to be about showing the positive parts of your organization.
Sure, and we focus on the onboarding, support and training for managers and supervisors, but we don't necessarily do that with our teachers, and it's really the teachers who are working alongside those interns and practicums, so it makes me think we need to deepen that a bit more.
Well, we do, and a lot of times there are some cultures that sometimes the frontline leaders, the frontline workers, again, are resentful of having to do the training or bringing new people on because they're already so busy with their existing work, right? So I think it's really important about anyone that's doing coaching or training of new staff, they do really need ongoing encouragement. They need ongoing recognition and reinforcement because they are truly the ones who are onboarding our students and fellow coworkers into your organization. And that first onboarding is critical, right? 50% of employees leave in their first 18 months. And the reason they're leaving in their 18 months is really one of three things. You hire the wrong person, you're not onboarding them really properly, or you're not doing enough to keep them engaged. And a lot of it is really that onboarding. So I think most organizations can truly strengthen the onboarding of new staff.
Thank you, David.
Hey, Mike.
Appreciate it. So there's a lot to take in here, obviously. What sort of role has technology played in tracking and kind of facilitating management, keeping them on track?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really a good question. So in terms of technology itself, I mean, I think we can, of course, engage people in all kinds of ways. Online. So whether it's gamification to get them being able to put up all of their certificates and their learnings and their accomplishments so that other people can see it. So that's one way technology can do it. But I think part of it is just reporting. So along with teaching managers how to be great talent scouts, how to be great performance coaches and employment gurus, we also need to be really honest with them about how are you doing with what percentage of your employees, new employees are actually staying, what percentage of your employees are actually being promoted, and how many of your people are being retained in your organization. And I think those are huge metrics that you need to kind of hold managers accountable for. So if there are managers that have high levels of turnover or are not seeing any promotions in their departments, I think you have to kind of go back and say, are they being a great engagement guru or a great development or performance coach? Other questions?
Hi, David.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
So, as someone just about to enter the workforce, I was wondering if you had any additional recommendations for me on what I should be looking for in a company that would, fit my culture and I'll actually find success there.
Yeah, that's a really great question, and actually it's probably should be the #1 question. So instead of what is your job title or how much am I going to make in my first job, I think what you want to do is align yourself with great companies. So there are companies that just do things really well. So how do you find those? Clearly talk to people in guidance, talk to all these people in the room. The people in this room represent a lot of great companies here in Central Maine. Also look at the best places to work list. The best places to work list is a great opportunity. There's 80 companies on that list here in Maine that really tell us who is doing some really great stuff and who have high level of employee engagement. Again, a lot of learning about a company's culture you can see on their website. You can look at their annual reports to really get a look at what do companies value, because it will be in there, it will be everywhere. You will see it on their websites, you'll see it in their annual reports, and you'll really see what they value. So, and then of course you'll want to ask lots of questions. So when you're interviewing brought in, you want to ask about the culture. And as you said, it's really important that what you believe in matches the culture of the organization you're going to join. So if you're really about being involved in community and your organization is not really focused on that, is that the best match for you? Find a company that matches and does what you do. It's so much easier to go to work every day when you're totally aligned with your company's vision and values. Wow, those were great questions. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kim.
On behalf of the Mid-Maine Chamber and Thomas College, there's a little gift for you. Thank you for
Thank you
being
so much.
here. You are definitely a crowd pleaser.
All right.
Can you pick a couple of business cards? Because they won't get mad at you, I've determined.
They absolutely won't get mad.
So we have a couple of door prizes from our business spotlighters. GHM has donated a gift certificate valued at $50 to Emery's Meats and Produce. And whoever wins this, if you are going to get a turkey with it, they're taking orders until the 18th of November. Cheryl Fewelling from Raymond James. And our second gift is from Peak Careers. It's a $100 career coaching gift certificate. and that's going to Tom Davis of Are You Ready to Party? Again, I want to remind you that you have evaluation forms on your tables. In addition to giving this feedback to our committee, we also give it to our speaker. So if you have anything you want to say to David, now's your chance. If you didn't get a green coupon to Tree Spirits, and thank you very much, Kelly has them at the registration table. Don't forget to grab your GHM bags. Thank you all for being here. We hope to see you next week at some of our events, and have a great day.